What up YouTube, Bill by the Flying Spanner here. Today we have a model airport update and it is the UK version, as you can see. Alright, I did get it all set up, but now there's little bits that aren't. Okay, that'll do. So, winter ops is now a thing. So, of course I've actually finished this schedule. So, compared to the summer one I did for the summer, I never really finished it in the end. And there was loads of gaps and loads of like the based airlines kind of had to wing it if we made an update or anything like that. This one, all I've got to do is fill in the Ryanair portion, the based Ryanair portion anyway, on a Friday, which I'll get that done today. The rest of them, 2eJet, 2easyJet, all them lot are done. Virgin base fleet is done and the 2 long haul's done, along with all the scheduled carriers, United, American, and the ones like the recurring flights as such. They're all in. And to be fair, as you probably saw last update or the update before, whenever I showcased it, it's quite dense at times. There's lots going on, and yeah, this is kind of one of those times. So this is a schedule on a Monday around 20 to 10ish. Kind of the last bits of the overnight kind of operations are departing, the long haul ones. Predominantly I've noticed in the evenings it's a little bit more, there's more kind of flights going more flights going east than west, which is quite interesting because there's some airlines, and there's definitely a model on here that I've not got out for an update before. I've had it in the boxes for ages, planning to schedule it in, just never have, and I'll get to that one when I pass it. But starting on with the update, arriving in from Amsterdam, we have the easyJet A319. So yeah, this one's arriving in from Amsterdam. It will be taxiing in and going to stand 8. Then just arrived in about 20 odd minutes ago from Sharm el Sheikh. We have the TUI 737 MAX. We've got a MAX and a NG based at the moment. The MAX predominantly doing the longer routes as such. Then next to that, kind of being decated, we've got an easyJet A320neo. This one arrived. That was loud. I dropped my spare support. Luckily, nothing was harmed. Let me reposition the Canada bit. Standard, this airport update hasn't had a good start. I got everything set up, and of course the Cadillacs to go on top of the wardrobe. Yesterday she just decided to jump off the wardrobe. Well, not jump off the wardrobe. As they do, they're built to jump and land, and she did, and I think nearly destroyed the easyJet A319. Right. After that short delay, it's still going, because may as well be realistic. Well, not realistic, but you know. There we go. Right, there's going to be a lot of referring back to the schedule, so I do apologise. Okay, that Zoom crawls now in the way. Go away. Right, minimise you and move you down there. So, easyJet A320neo, call that arrived a long while ago. There's a big orange bar on the schedule. Right, so that arrived in from Gran Canaria about nearly 4 hours ago. Jesus. Right, next to that one, we have a Jet2 757. This arrived in from Fuerteventura about an hour and a half ago. Arrived in on a normal stand and then was towed to the remote stand where it's going to be parked overnight. I've noticed with the TUIs, the Jet2s mainly, their departures in the mornings, they're quite a lot later than say easyJet, Ryanair. So you'll probably see when I do like these evening kind of updates, mostly on these kind of on the terminal stands, there'll be EasyJet Ryanairs. That's just because they it suits them better being there because they're going out earlier. There we go. Right. God, that did cause a good bit of destruction. Really doesn't take much. Of course, I can't wait to get a house or something. I can have a little room. Just have this permanently set up. I won't have to worry about the faff of getting it out. Also, the faff of doing the support beams underneath. Right, continuing. So, we got them three, then we have a TUI 737. This has been on the ground for a fair while. Well, about, oh god, that's another long one. Right. Honestly, this is further back than the EasyJet. Right, so this arrived in at about 7 o'clock and arrived in from Tenerife. The Ryanair next to it, that one I can remember. That one arrived in from, well, it's doing a little rotation out to Dublin. It's just boarding, and we'll be departing out soon. Then we have a Ryanair UK. This aircraft arrived in from, this could be fun, Sandefjord. Yeah, something like that, Sandefjord. I think in Norway or somewhere Norwegic. Then next to that, we've got the Air Canada 737 MAX. This arrived in from Halifax and departs out in the morning. So that's another one. So that's a based aircraft, not a based aircraft, but an overnight stay at Heathrow. So I thought I'd include that here. It's quite cool. Might as well use the 737 MAX model that I've got for Air Canada. Something a little bit different to have based. Right, moving on to the terminal stands. So we have a Egypt Air 777-300 operating the Cairo route. This is normally done by the 73 in the evening, but because it's kind of late, there's not really too much going on. There's quite a lot of stand flexibility, so sometimes they're going to send a 777 or 78 in the evening slot as well, depending on loads, of course. So it's nice to have that in. That's the wide body. Then next up, the next overnighter, we've got a United 767. This arrived in from Newark. Then onto our home leg stands as such. I've focused a lot on cargo operations and adding cargo ops into the airport. Also had the cargo stands, never really used them. So in these evening ones and sometimes during the day, we'll have freighter aircraft, which is quite cool to have. So this A300 DHL, this arrived in from Luton and is departing out to Brussels, of course. When they're arriving from a UK airport, there's not really anything on board, so it's pretty much just a straight, just load up and go. So yeah, that one's out to Brussels. Then we've got a DHL 767. This one arrived in from East Midlands and departs out to Shenzhen. These two are actually, again, Heathrow routes, along with the Titan. This is actually what happened, so they position the aircraft from another UK base, and then depart out from, say, Heathrow. Must be just because to save, I don't know, parking fees or something like that. So next up, staying overnight, we've got the Titan A321 passenger to freighter. This one is just operating Brussels at the moment. They took it's part of like a wet lease from Virgin, which is quite a cool route. So that one's based here. Just under tow, we've got a Jet2 737. This aircraft arrived in from. This one arrived in from Tenerife. It's now being towed to what will be its departure stand, which I think is that gate there. Which will be its departure stand in the morning. I think it's always best to get the tows over and done with kind of as the aircraft arrives. Just means maintenance can crack on. There's nothing more annoying than having a 6:30 in the morning tow when you finish your shift at 7. Thank you, Aviator, for that one. Right, on to, we've got another Jet 273. This one has just arrived in, and this one arrived in from Budapest, and that will be staying on that stand. And this is the model you haven't seen yet, so actually kind of the first one. So this is the EVA Air 777-300. It's heading to, this is operating Bangkok, I think on a daily basis. Then we got a Ryanair 737. This aircraft arrived in from Lanzarote. Then Malaysian A350, this operating Kuala Lumpur. Then New Route and Fantasy Route. I wanted to make use of the model. It's a really nice model, and I just really like the look of it. And we've got Hawaiian 787. So this aircraft, it operates to New York. It's kind of like a European connection service to further routes to Honolulu. So there might be a direct to Honolulu soon, but that'd be a bloody long flight. I don't even know how long it is between, like, say Manchester or England to Hawaii, but I can't imagine it's short anyway. So yeah, that's a new route. This happens every, I think it's 3 times weekly, so it's not every day, but it's quite a lot of the time. Then we've got the Sri Lankan A330 next to depart. This is operating Colombo. Air France A320 SkyTeam operating Paris Charles de Gaulle. That's here overnight now. Then a BA A320neo, which is just being cleaned, and this one is also overnighting, and that arrived in from Heathrow. Next up, we've got the LATAM 777. So once the EasyJet passes behind, that will make its push, and it'll probably be asked to pull forward just to give time for the arriving TUI to taxi in. This aircraft's operating to Sao Paulo. And last aircraft, I haven't put the background out, so apologies for that. We've got the TUI 767. As far as me arriving early, this is arriving in from Boa Vista. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the kind of first update of the winter. Of course, I say I'm going to try and get them out every few weeks, but we'll see. Of course, there's a lot of variety I can do now with the schedule, and it makes it a lot easier to set up because I'm not completely winging it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching the update. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Have a very good weekend, and adios. Goodbye.